Hello and welcome to today's episode of Two Pigs in a Pod, a podcast for the people of Glazing by the people of Glazing. I'm George Lewis, your host, and I'm delighted to welcome onto the show today Ed Williams. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Hi, George. Thanks for having me.
Oh no, it's an absolute pleasure to get you on. So as we do with every episode that we have now is for guests to introduce themselves and what they do within our industry.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I've spent most of my career in manufacturing technology, machinery predominantly, around driving commercial transformation in mainly engineering-led businesses. So
Yeah.
before I joined Stuga, I spent 25 years in FMCG and pharmaceutical industries, working
Okay.
with a range of global manufacturers of machinery. So I've got a background in capital equipment predominantly, but my earlier career was actually in mechanical design of bespoke industrial solutions for lead acid battery industry, but after doing an engineering apprenticeship. So I joined Stuga about 3 years ago after it had been bought by Sturtz in Germany. And I've been working for the last 3 years on turning the business around and actually reintroducing the Sturtz portfolio of machines to the fenestration industry, which was new to me at the time. And it's been a really rewarding challenge, actually, getting to know the industry, its people, all of the nuances that make the industry quite unique and thoroughly enjoyable experience, actually.
Nice. And going back to the start, when, like you said, you didn't start out in the glazing sector, but you had an interest in engineering. What was that piqued your interest in sort of engineering in the first instance?
Well, I failed to be an international rugby player, George, and the options were limited after that.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, my brothers were all engineers. I'm one of a family of
Okay.
five boys, and I'm the youngest. My father was an engineer as well, so we spent our life. I know engineering is a broader subject than people think,
Of
but we
course.
spent our
Yeah.
lives around machines and bikes and cars, and that got me interested in how things work in the world, not just machines themselves, but everything. Infrastructure,
Yeah.
architecture, which I also flirted with as a potential career as well, before finally, perhaps weekly, settling on a career in industry. So I did an engineering apprenticeship with a kind of tier one automotive supplier back in the day, no longer around, unfortunately. Yeah, so it came from a very young age, just interested in how things work, including the human mind. I'm really interested in people and process as well as machines.
Nice. And like you said, you've been at Stuga now for 3 years or just over 3 years. What drew you to the glazing sector? What was it you thought that sounds of interest, or obviously on the machinery side of things?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be a bit of an exaggeration to say that I had aspirations to work in the fenestration industry, but I was in the space where I was looking for a new opportunity, something I really wanted to challenge me. The role I was
Yeah.
in was a good role, good organisation, great business. I just wasn't feeling stretched enough, actually, and right at the moment, I was beginning to kind of build that thought process, put my CV together as you do. I got a call from somebody who connected with me on LinkedIn and presented this opportunity to lead this UK manufacturing business who'd
Nice.
just been bought by a German company. I'd worked previously with German global manufacturing tech businesses, so had a good relationship, knew their approach and
Yeah.
philosophy within engineering, and I thought that sounds really interesting. It just happened to be in fenestration. That wasn't really a part, if I'm honest, but
Yeah.
it was made clear pretty quickly that the industry operates in a way that is unique because you've got a range of different customers operating at different levels of volume and sophistication. You're dealing with people that own whole owners of their small businesses, and you've got bigger fabricators, who are part of larger groups and everything in between. So it's a really dynamic and interesting industry, and I fall in love with it actually.
Nice. And yeah, no, I'm glad to hear. But what did you know about it before? You said you got that message, and when you were first sort of doing your due diligence into the glazing sector, did you know anything before that?
No, nothing. I mean, when I remember the day I got this call from this recruiter, and it was a cold call, and he said, "I've got this opportunity. It's in the fenestration industry." And I have to admit, George, I didn't even know what that meant. So I had
Yeah.
to Google fenestration. So
Yeah.
he's
Of course.
talking to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Picture of a UPVC window came up, and I asked this guy if he was joking. Actually, I thought it was a wind up, to be honest. But like all of these things, as an engineer, I know that behind a product, a consumer product, is a great deal of complexity. And of course, so I quickly kind of put my engineer head on, got onto the internet, started looking behind the scenes, and started to see quite quickly that both Stuga and Sturtz design and manufacture some incredibly complex, incredibly interesting machinery. So that sparked, the engineer interest in me, and then there was the opportunity itself about taking on a 40-year-old UK based business and growing
Yeah.
that, making it more profitable, and introducing new products, and growing really with a team, which involved a lot of restructuring and organisation. So yes, yeah, I didn't know a lot about the
Yeah.
industry at all.
And you, like you said, you've been building up your career to take on this now. Obviously 3 years ago, take on the role as MD. What have you sort of brought from previous experiences into your sort of your first role as an MD?
A combination of things, particularly for Stuga. I think what it means is I've got a background in machinery design, so I understand the process of designing machines. And as somebody leading a business which has a design, innovation, technology function, it's important that you grasp the complexities around designing machines. The other part of my career was in project management and operations, so the actual function of making stuff, building stuff, delivering stuff. That is from an operational perspective. I got quite a lot of oversight and knowledge from various roles over the 25 years, and then over the last 15 years, I've really developed a commercial acumen around business growth. Launching products, sales strategy, product management, marketing, a lot of other stuff. So it was quite a wide. I've got quite a wide bandwidth, if you like, of skills and experience, and I mean that in the most modest way possible. But I think that was exactly what Stuga and Sturtz were looking for. As one of very few machinery manufacturers left in the UK, somebody who understood that core capability and the core competence of designing machines, but also, I think really importantly in food and pharmaceutical, but in this industry as well, is service. And bringing a renewed focus on what was already, I have to say, a very, very impressive service capability that Stuga have, and which they built, over a 35 or so year period to be, I believe, the best in the industry. Not all day, every day, but that's what we strive toward.
Nice. And speaking of Stuga, like who, obviously for those that don't know, but you've given a good overview of who they are. But who do you work with? What are your kind of customers, sort of day in day out, and further afield for more bespoke stuff?
We work with everybody in the UK. We've got about 350 Stuga machines installed in the UK. Sturtz
Nice.
actually had a presence here from around 30 years ago up to about 10 or 12 years ago, when their relationship with their agent at the time fell apart. And actually for Sturtz, part of their global strategy was to regrow a UK footprint and presence, and the
Okay.
acquisition of Stuga was aimed at delivering that. But
Yeah.
Stuga have been selling their products and services to everybody from startup window manufacturers and fabricators all the way up to large high volume producers in the commercial space, and as I say, everything in between. So we have a range of solutions that suits all pockets, and we also have a very strong rebuild capability as well, which provides an opportunity to take old Stuga assets from the industry, what we affectionately call a donor machine,
Yeah.
strip that back to its bare shell, and then update it with all of the latest control systems, hardware, bearings, shafts, new machining center, ring, all of the other bits and pieces, the peripherals that go on top, and then we can sell that because we've used an existing frame substructure. We can sell that usually around 70% of the price of a new machine. So
Okay.
that opens other doors as well with small, medium, and large volume producers.
Yeah. And has there been any memorable projects that you've worked on over the last 3 years that you thought like have really sort of stood out and you remember fondly?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of big, some smaller projects have been really fantastic as well. We did a great project with a small company down on the south coast called Sage, who are great friends of ours and have been for many years. They invested in our new generation autoflow machine, which was a kind of an inline machining and prep sawing center. It was new generation because it incorporated some of the Sturtz technology on the infeed, which was great. A great bringing it together of two powerhouses of the industry in a technology solution. And it wasn't without problems, but we stuck by that machine, and it's now functioning. And present that as a really good reference site for us. So that was a really, really good project because everybody was on board with what we were trying to do. We've also had a lot of work with A&B Glass over in Sudbury and Suffolk, where we've delivered around 5 million of machinery over the last 3 years, including about 3 million of the Sturtz equipment in various forms. And that's been that's a wholesale reorganization of their factory there from a semi-automatic, verti-quad type welding cleaning situation to a 5-line fully automated setup, which we completed last year. So that was really, really interesting, and actually marked the big turning point because that was almost the re-establishment of Sturtz anyway in the UK with their product portfolio that had been missing for 10 years. So it's quite a statement for a lot of reasons that. So I held that in particularly high esteem.
Nice. And you said there about the first example of Sage and becoming good friends with them. And do you feel that that's important? Obviously, it goes without saying that customer service is always going to be there, but because machinery is probably one of, if not the biggest investment a company can make within our sector. Do you think it's important that that they trust you and vice versa in terms of really sort of saying that this is what you can get? It's going to be potentially like you said, a 5 million investment over the stretch, but it'll be absolutely worth it.
Yeah, trust is everything in any relationship, and professional and working relationships are no different, really. One thing that Stuga has always done is stood by its word and stood by its product and portfolio. And it's fair to say, Stuga has a great product and a great brand, but it isn't, the most expensive. It probably isn't the most reliable machinery in the market. We're very honest about that, but it's good machines. For the price performance ratio, it delivers a great result for businesses that have the appetite to invest in automation. But trust is built not just at the point of sale when you sell something and deliver what you say, what you've got on the tin, but also over the years that follow when you get the call that 4 p.m. on a Friday looking for an engineer tomorrow. And for the most part, we try to service our customers in the best way possible. We've got a strong service capability here, 14 engineers. We've got software and controls people working on our help desk. We've got a design team, on hand where needed if we need to implement change. So, and that's what on top of obviously human relationships. Ultimately, you're judged on doing your best and standing up when it counts and delivering the best. And if you're not planning for eventualities, and our customers, I think, can see, especially in the last couple of years, that we've evolved even more. We're more sophisticated about how we're planning and doing things. It doesn't mean the machines don't break. Of course, they're machines and they do, some more than others. But we're there to stand behind our customers when they do, and I think they feel the weight of that, and that ultimately means that they do trust what we say and when we say it. We don't always get it right, but we always stand behind our word and deliver what we say we're going to do in the end.
Nice. And speaking of that evolving and that evolution of not only Stuga and Sturtz, but also the automation of machines. How has that worked in with you? How have you seen that sort of changing over the 3 years that you've been there? Are you feeling that change not only within Stuga, but actually as an industry as a whole within the machinery side?
I think at a machine level, there's definitely been change. We're focusing on smart, connected machines, and demand from our customers is increasing in things like diagnostics, remote access, and automation. Although automation, to be honest, has always existed within the industry, or has for 20 years. Nothing we're doing from a machine automation perspective is really very new. We might have upgraded a turbo welder. We've made our corner cleaner a bit quicker, more reliable. But in the end, it's a corner cleaner, it's a welder. Where the developments in innovation are is around connected machines, and we've got a couple of platforms that we've been working on, both from Stuga and from Sturtz, that provide our customers a lot more insight and valuable information as to what's going on in their production space, and giving them clues, therefore, of where to go, who to speak to in their factory, and what to fix. So that's something that we've been working a lot. I saw that a lot in the food industry, it's well evolved, and in the pharmaceutical industry, both regulated, of course, so that the requirement there is almost legal that you have to have this audit trail and full visibility of what your machines in your factory are doing and when and how they're doing it. In the fenestration industry, that isn't a legal requirement. It's a non-regulated industry in that regard. The end product has to be regulated or designed to a standard with Fencer, but we're seizing the initiative there, and I suppose that is a transfer of kind of service expectation and capability from my food and pharmaceutical experience into this industry that really sets us apart from what I think some of our competitors are doing.
Yeah, nice. And do you feel like because you worked in, you said like pharmaceutical and food, where it's probably a bit more further down the line, or in terms of sort of the technology around it, legal requirements, like you said, that you're actually kind of seeing things. You've seen things already that are now starting to kind of filter through to our industry.
Definitely, I think people. We had the event on the Thames, Georgia, a couple of weeks ago, and it was
Yeah,
really interesting talking to customers there because the industry is quite modest actually about its capability. I see, while there's lots of room for improvement in terms of maybe how they do plant maintenance, how they organise their production, how they plan and monitor quality, how they get the best out of their machines and keep them
yeah,
running to the best ability. There's definitely room for improvement there. But I think the industry is already on a path, and I can see customers we're talking to looking at opportunities in things like connectivity and diagnostic analysis as a real game changer in how they approach running their machines, running their assets. That's the sign of an industry that's forward thinking, and people are
mm,
embracing that rather than just saying, "Oh, that'll never catch on." That's never
yeah,
going to work. I think that so there's definitely progress being made in this industry. And while perhaps romantically people will say, "Oh, well, it's a really old-fashioned industry. It's still cottage industry type approach to everything." Yeah, that exists in some places, but it's up to all of us. Actually, I think we have a responsibility. Our peers, the people we work with, our competitors. If we're all constantly striving to do better, that actually leads a change, and everybody help each other along.
yeah,
And I'm really into the principle of kind of cross pollination and sharing knowledge and skills. Talking to our customers about how they might better run some of their factories. They know how to run a factory, a lot of them, but there's always opportunity for improvement. And I think some of the machine related tech is opening their eyes to that. And I
yeah,
also see people from outside the industry, who've worked in food, pharmaceutical, aerospace, other industries, being employed into senior roles in this industry to affect change and bring outside influence. And that's a sign also that people are waking up to the fact that, if you are more efficient, if you are more robust, if you build systems, machine systems, procedural processes that are robust and resilient, you're going to be there, when it gets hard, it gets tough. And
yeah.
we know this industry has a weak or a lack of resilience entirely to economic and climate change. So it has to find ways to be resilient, and this is one such way. And I think customers are leaping into that. If I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I feel like yeah, absolutely. Like you said you was at Pigs with us, a couple of weeks ago, and I think that sort of talking to each other is in our industry where times are tougher, across the board from whatever part of the industry you're in. It's all about talking and sort of that one bit of information that you might have got from it or I might have got from going to Pigs can actually like help your business sort of unintentionally help your business or help one of your customers going forward. I just think, yeah, we're in such an industry where collaboration is probably key to survival to a certain
Yeah.
extent of or at least to get us back on to where we should be.
Yeah, competition is really healthy, and I learned working in the food industry that you help each other along. Okay, ignoring plagiarism and copywriting and all the other stuff, but fundamentally, it's good to have competition because let's say Stuga were the only people in the UK supplying machines for sawing and
Mm,
cutting, right?
yeah,
What would happen is we would get complacent and we would
absolutely.
get lazy and we would expect orders just to keep coming, and that might happen for a while, and it'd be great. Everybody'd be dining out on profitability for a couple of years, but eventually somebody's going to overtake what we do in terms of our technology, our commitment to service, our organizational structure, our resilience to whatever, you will get overtaken. So having competition is healthy. Pushing each other's barriers and each other's capabilities is a really good thing for development in the long term.
Yeah,
And it's how progress is made. You need that. And it's really good to talk to the competition and our customers in the way you've described to share ideas. I'm really open to that, and we do that quite a lot.
yeah,
We've got nothing to be afraid of. It's healthy to have competition. but there's room for everybody. I think is the saying we all use.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say are some of the challenges that you're facing now? Obviously, you kind of you mentioned it in the previous question, but what are some of the challenges that your part of the industry is facing?
Economic challenges continue to dog, progress and growth of sales. That's been the case really since probably Brexit and COVID. But we can't keep using that as an excuse, George. It's fair to say that government successively over the last couple of years have done their best to inhibit growth. I don't believe industry is getting the financial support that it needs to, particularly manufacturing. Some of those small businesses that we work with, whose margins are squeezed already, selling commodity products, they've been hit really hard with national insurance contribution increases and all these other things. So that's made it a really tough environment to make investment in machinery. And investment in machinery is a big deal for any customer, no matter the size. You're talking significant sums of money. So but we're trading. We had a dip last year, but a really good return. It's steady at the moment, but obviously the recent news about the insolvency of Sturtz in Germany is no doubt affecting customers' appetite, and it's my job to make sure those customers, retain their confidence in what Stuga and Sturtz are doing.
Yeah, and obviously you said about Sturtz and the news that came out last week about it. Is there anything you want to obviously put on to Two Peas in the Pod today to to ease customer fears and to just explain that fully from the horse's mouth right like about what's going on?
Yeah, look, we're here. Sturtz invested and bought Stuga, so it owns it outright, of course. But we are completely independent, operationally speaking, and financially speaking. So we're continuing to work and deliver to our customers here in the UK.
Yeah,
Understandably, there are some areas of our business which are shared. The Sturtz portfolio support for the Sturtz stuff is going to be affected to a degree in the coming weeks and months as Sturtz, look for new investment, which I'm confident that they will find. And I hope, when they do, we can all just kind of, move on with life, really. But we're taking steps here. Our core manufacturing remains unaffected. Our after sales operations remain unaffected. We've taken other steps to ring fence, customer projects on the Sturtz side and also the Stuga side to ensure continuity. So we're here. We're continuing to operate. We're a solvent and profitable business. I understand customers will have concerns, and I'm spending a lot of time, as you'd imagine, over the last week or so,
of course.
talking to
Yeah,
customers about that. And actually, they support what we're doing because they need us here. Like I mentioned earlier, we've built a very strong sales and after sales capability, and customers come to rely on that, right? So if that's withdrawn, that's a real problem. So customers
yeah,
want to support us to make sure that we're here for the long term as well, and that means keeping on board with payments for machines that are in build in progress, even though there may be some doubts in their mind. But we're doing what we can to provide the right confidence to the greatest extent possible. But we're open for business, and we're continuing to work, and hopefully in the background, Sturtz will find their funding,
yeah.
and then we can move on with life.
Yeah, nice. And is there a message you'd like to, not obviously you've spoken to your customers like you said already, and speaking to them daily basis, but the whole industry sees news like this and gets a bit worried. Is there anything you'd like to say to to the whole industry to say it's all everything is fine and this is the plan?
Yeah, look, we've got a plan, George. As I say, we're operationally separated, so materially speaking, there's no direct impact from what's
Yeah,
happening in Germany at the moment. They are also still operating, and the laws on insolvency, by the way, in Germany are a little bit different to the UK. They have to
okay,
declare insolvency a lot earlier on before they're actually insolvent. If they
yeah,
can't show certain cash flow and liquidity positivity for a medium long term position, then they enter insolvency. So that's a little bit different, but they're still operating. They've got administrators in to provide financial oversight on how they're making their decisions and what they're doing. But they're also still delivering machines. We are
yeah,
still placing orders on them for parts and service and new machinery, and they are still continuing to make machines, sell machines, and provide service on machines. And we're doing the same, and we will continue to do that until such time as outcomes around Sturtz's future are known, and then we'll adjust accordingly. And we'll obviously, you'd appreciate we're making a number of what if scenario plans,
of course,
so
yeah,
that in the worst event we've got a plan to maintain our operational capability here in the UK as best we can, regardless of the circumstances in Germany. And that's what we'll do, and I'll just bring it back to the fact that Stuga was a standalone business, very successful for 40 years, and it
Yeah.
remains so. We just happen to be part of a big group as well, which is having some cash flow problems at the moment.
Nice. And like you said, there's always been success at Stuga. So looking ahead to the future,
Yeah.
what excites you most about, not only working for Stuga and the future of the business, but the industry as a whole.
I think the connected machine development is going to be a game changer in this industry. That's going to help really educate our customers, and because what you get from connected machine data, having visibility of your overall operation, is actually objective data about what's actually happening, and that then provides a fantastic platform to put in place, fixes on things that you didn't know need fixing, maintenance plans, training on machines that perhaps aren't being operated correctly. There's a whole number of things. The actions you take a result of the data that you're given very much depend on your appetite for doing work as a user of these machines. But for sure, providing that insight is going to be a game changer in terms of improving our customers' operational efficiencies. And in the end, what that means is they become more competitive. They can pitch for different business. Their profit margins should improve. And you would hope that in that event, they recognise, that there's opportunity there to further invest in their own businesses, which is, already happening in terms of investing in automation, but also investing in people and training, and all of that perpetuates this development, in sophistication and approach to, cleaner processes, more robust, machine servicing and commissioning schedules, all these kind of things. All of this has a perpetuating effect.
Nice. And has there been any, personal standout moments of your 3 years in charge of Stuga? Is there anything that, that you remember fondly and you think, yeah, that was a good, good times?
Yeah, I think the deal we did with the two standout. Sorry, it's going to be a commercial thing, a win for Stuga in terms of sales. But I think the deal we did with A&B,
Yeah.
3 year plan to deliver a significant amount of machinery was game changing. It was the reintroduction, relaunch of Sturtz in the UK, as well as a lot of Stuga machinery. And then I think John Fredericks, that was a piece of business that we probably had no right to go after, but we had an introduction to that business, and that underlines the importance of trust and connections, because that was a customer who were referred to us by another trusted customer, and that opened up a conversation about selling 4 machines there and replacing an industry standard machine with something that they didn't know and hadn't seen before, but took it on reference and confidence that it was a decision well worth making, and I believe they think it was. And those machines, not problematic, not without problems, sorry, at the beginning, but we got there, and they're sweating those assets and getting the best out of them. And that was a really, really key because what it confirmed for me is that Stuga isn't just this, middle of the road operator who sells to small and medium sized
Yeah.
fabricators. It is somebody that can sit on a comparative level with some of the bigger, say machine size, bigger
Yeah.
manufacturers of cutting and machining centres. The guys from Sherma being one such example. We do stand toe to toe with these. Our machines aren't as big, they aren't as expensive. The output might not be sufficient, but we have a very, very flexible, very, very strong price performance proposition here that I think some other people in the industry are opening their eyes to, where they might not previously have done so. I think that's also to do with having a different management structure, broadcasting a different type of confidence, having a more complete portfolio, the backing of a German parent company. There's a lot of things that come into play to build confidence in a customer's mind. But
Yeah.
I do think the industry is looking at Stuga and how it's developing and has developed in the last couple of years, and saying, actually, that's a really smart organization delivering really good technology that can go toe to toe with everybody in the industry. And they do things in a way that also ends up providing great service. And I'm proud of that. I've built on a
Nice.
legacy that Steve Haynes and Gareth Green built,
Yeah.
and we continue to push forward. And I'm really excited about the future, actually.
Nice, nice. And we can't get you on the podcast without talking about Machu PiGchu, and you're one of the team, as people might have seen on, on our website and in our previous newsletter. Firstly, congratulations on joining the team, and how does it feel?
Thank you. I'm really excited. I was really sad to miss out on the Kilimanjaro effort, but Gareth got first dibs on that
Yeah.
last year. But yeah, I was delighted to be invited and considered for it. I think it's a fantastic opportunity and one I'm really looking forward to. I think it's a really diverse team building up. We've got a WhatsApp group where where we're
Yeah.
chatting about our experiences, our exposure to sport and fitness in the past. And I know there's a bit of nervousness from some people about whether they'll be able to do it, but
Yeah.
it's clear that we're already building a very very supportive
Yeah.
team in which to do a great thing for a really really great charity. So I'm really excited about it. Not so
Nice.
excited about the potential lack of sleep though.
Yeah, I was going to say what you least looking forward to, but yeah, I think you summed it up there with the sleep.
Yeah, I think initially when you asked that question a couple of weeks ago, when I jumped at the opportunity to join the team, I probably
Yeah.
said the altitude. I think that's a low level worry for me. I didn't really think about it before. That night, I happened to be in a hotel and got a really bad night's sleep because the bed was uncomfortable and I
Yeah.
didn't have my pillow configuration. So
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have all of that in place, I get a really bad night's sleep. But I think given over the course of a few days, with how tired we're going to be, I'll probably sleep on a bed of nails if I'm honest. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, definitely. And to end on a positive of that, what's the thing you're most looking forward to?
Being out in the fresh air with industry colleagues, I think doing something really worthwhile. I think obviously seeing the site, being in a place of incredible history and nostalgia. I think that's awe inspiring when you go to places like that. I'm not a great traveller. I've travelled a lot, but not a traveller, if that makes sense. But something I'm quite keen to do over the next sort of 10 years of my life is visit more places and see more things, with my own eyes and touch it and smell it. So I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think that you know the camaraderie as well. You get I've seen from obviously Sarah and Andy from Kilimanjaro last year. The way they are when they see each other is just you've gone through such an experience together. So I think your team will be exactly the same.
Yeah, I totally believe it. Camaraderie is really important. I played rugby for many, many years, as well as rowed in fours and eights. And you've got to trust the people you're with when you're taking on physically demanding and emotionally demanding tasks. A bit like work, maybe. But you've got to have a camaraderie and a relationship that goes beyond just professional. It's really important that you can support each other and people know that they can turn to you when things get tough, and they will. I know this isn't Everest, and it's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's a challenge, and there are going to be people, probably including myself, for a variety of reasons that are going to struggle at times, and it's great to know that there are people around you to support you, and in whom you can place your trust. I get quite excited by that type of thing, and I like immersing myself in environments, where you have good humans around you.
Nice. Well, thanks very much, Ed. Obviously, we're going to move on to our quick fire question round now. So, if you've seen our previous episodes, we just, I fire away quick fire questions, and it's, one word, one sentence answers, and yeah, first thing that comes to your head. So, yeah, the first thing we'll do is, as we always do, is do you prefer talking over email or by phone?
Phone,
Nice.
definitely.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Or avocado with red chili and poached eggs on toast.
Nice, nice. I've never heard of that combination before. Sounds good though. What would
Right.
be one word to describe your work style?
Collaborative.
Nice. What's your favorite way to unwind after work?
Take my dog for a walk or just be outdoors generally. I really love the outdoors.
Nice. And what was the first and last gigs that you attended? Music gigs.
First, oh gosh, God, I can't remember. I can tell you my last. It was LCD Sound System a couple of months ago in London at the Brixton Academy. It was fantastic. I can't remember the first actually. It would have been when I was about 15. Actually, no, it was when I was about 11 or 12. I saw Michael Jackson with my brother in Cardiff.
Wow. Nice. Perfect. Well, that's it for the main part of the podcast. So you can breathe easily now. But as our last bit of the podcast, we like to get our guests to give a shout out. So it can be people in the industry, out the industry, friends, family, whoever it may be. So yeah, fire away with who you want to shout out.
I really just love to shout out to the staff here at Stuga, who've been amazing in the last couple of years, and particularly at the moment with the present circumstances, and in particular Gareth Green, my tech director, who's a bedrock really, and a guy I speak to a lot personally and professionally, and really lean on actually for support, and also thanks to the industry for embracing what Stuga are trying to do, investing in our equipment, investing in our people. I just want to say thanks, and I hope we're all there together, for the future for another 40 years.
Nice. Well, thanks very much, Ed, for joining us on Two Pigs in the Pod today. It's been great to hear about you and your career. Pre glazing industry, and of course all things Stuga.
Pleasure. Thanks, George.
Well, that's it for today. So you can find Ed's episode and all our others on our YouTube channel at People in Glazing Society, on our website www.peopleinglazing.co.uk, and also available to download on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss another episode again. Thanks again for tuning in, and see you again soon.